Good afternoon. It's June 7th, 2:31 p.m. in the afternoon. Welcome to my office. My name is Michelle Fox with the United States University, and I'm going to be doing a presentation on leadership. And for this, we were asked to consider several aspects about leadership and compare a person in our organization who we thought was a good leader to these characteristics. So I'm going to read my introduction to you, and this is entitled, What Comprises Effective Leadership? And it reads, leadership is a science and an art. It is both inborn and developed. It cannot be taught in a school per se. However, there are some important components of leadership that can be imparted in a scholarly forum. In its simplest form, leadership is a social contract between someone who wants to have something done for them and with someone who wants to buy in and do what's requested. In that vein, then, leadership is really influence. If one considers themselves to be a leader but no one is following them, they're just a deluded one-man parade. Okay, so the first thing we were asked, oh, by the way, there's my title page because that was required for this assignment. And the first characteristic we were asked to consider was professional characteristics and behaviors of a professional nurse that I admire. And I admire Kathleen Flores-Smith. She's the Director of Staff Development in our facility, and she's just the everything girl. I love her. If there's an orientation, a post-hire teaching, an in-service, or if I just want a second set of eyes when I'm interviewing a potential employee, Kathleen is the girl. And this study that I looked at talked about the concept of the buy-in, and really that effective leaders can get people to buy in by making them feel that they are special. Not as a manipulation. They really have the art of making them feel special. And that's where Kathleen has her forte. So the study read, when employees compared with other members of their organization perceive their relationship with the leader as being better than the other members, they tend to perform well on the job. They often produce innovative ideas in return for the perceived higher quality relationship with their leader. So when the person feels like they have that special relationship with the leader, their work is done more willingly, they give better results, and they have a personal stake in it. And that's where Kathleen excels. I'm so glad she's here. The second thing we were asked to consider is what stands out. And it says, what stood out for you about this person that demonstrates a leader in your mind? ? So for me, in a word, it's dependability. If there's a job to be done, you know Kathleen will be there helping with it. If she says she's going to do something, you never have to look back and see if she really did it. And we had a text from my other class that talked about ways to build that professional relationship with your patient. And one of the concepts was called fidelity. And that's what Kathleen has. She has dependability. It's fidelity that builds reliability, trust. And she doesn't just do that with its staff. She also does it with students. And one of her job is to be like the liaison for nursing students that come here to make sure that they have the proper background, the proper immunizations. Everything is done in a way that helps prepare the next generation of nurses, but do it in a way that's safe for our patients too. And so Kathleen's a very important leader in that respect. The third thing we were asked to consider is ways in which nursing leadership is dynamic, interactive process. And again, I'm just going to read straight from here so that it can have a better flow. In as much as there are never two identical days on a nursing floor, nursing leadership by definition must be dynamic. It must accommodate patient care needs, which are continually in flux. It must be interactive because the evaluation process we use requires feedback from a patient to gauge the efficacy of our nursing interventions. A nurse leader then must provide a framework where enough structure is provided so that goals are clear, but enough flexibility is given so that the way those goals are met can be adjusted in real time. So that's another place where Kathleen just excels. She's a good laissez-faire leader. Anybody that's managed nurses before, it's like herding cats. They do whatever they want to do. Not necessarily meaning that they're unsafe, but if you try and tell a nurse too much of a structured way to get something done, they're out the door. So Kathleen is really good at being there we go, dynamic, okay? So then she's a good laissez-faire leader because she doesn't care if you go down path A, path B, path C, as long as you get to goal D. And she really does provide that. And I think anybody that is a good leader has to provide that, remembering back to the first concept of the buy-in. You've got to get that person to willingly do it, And if you're not too structured or totalitarian, authoritarian, you're going to get a better result. And that's maybe just my own opinion, but I've been in this business for a long time, and it's the best way to get people to do things for you. The final thing we were asked to do is to consider the ways in which nurses can demonstrate leadership for the future in contemporary healthcare. So one of the best ways I can think of is just to consider these three topics right here. Education. Our educational requirements are becoming more and more, I don't want to say stringent, but they're growing. It used to be the associate degree of nursing in the 50s and the 60s. They wanted to produce nurses quickly because there was a nursing shortage. And then there's still a nursing shortage, but just by nature, we have to be lifelong learners to be in the nursing field. And the bachelor's of science, the master's, even the doctorate is becoming more and more the standard rather than the associate degree. The scope of our practice is expanding. So as where the IV push that RNs do all day long used to be only a doctor scope of practice. We couldn't do that. But because our professional organizations keep expanding our role, then we get more and more responsibility, freedom with responsibility handed to us, and that we're a growing population. I went to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and they purported that between 2016 and 2026, the growth of the overall job market would grow by 7%. However, the growth of healthcare would grow 16%. And then this is the one that blows me away. Of the 16%, 15% of it is nursing. So we have a very dynamic, growing trade, and we have to be lifelong learners or we will be obsolete. And one of the things about the scope is that we're always creating new roles. And so for a previous class, I had done some research on the 21st century nurse, and they had a nurse here. It's called the certified nurse leader. And basically, they're not a nurse that's on the floor, and they're a little more involved than a charge nurse. They're similar to an attending physician with their resident physicians. It returns graduate prepared clinicians to the bedside to coach and mentor nursing staff. And they do everything from discharge planning, cost control, just evaluating the type of therapy that's given to give the best patient care-centered results that there are. And so nursing roles like this, like the nurse practitioner role, the family nurse practitioner, these are all expanding scopes of our practice that can be met if we become lifelong learners. So, and that's something that Kathleen's really good about too. In fact, going back to the fact that she even is preparing the next generation of nurses. So that's my presentation. Thank you for letting me talk about my friend, and thank you for listening to my thing. I can't wait to see everyone else's presentations. Hope to learn a lot, and have a great day.